What's up guys, how's it going? My name's X, and this video is going to be a 6.2 Combat Rogue PvP guide. So in this guide I'm going to be covering glyphs, talents, and rotation, and just general awareness for what you should be looking for when you're playing Combat Rogue in 6.2. So first we'll just start off with talents. Opening up the talent tree here. For your 15 row of talents, I'd always take Subterfuge. I don't see any use for Night Stalker or Shadow Focus. Subterfuge says your abilities requiring stealth can still be used for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. And this was like old Subterfuge where you'd still stay in stealth, but you don't stay in stealth anymore, but you can still use the abilities that require stealth. So that's what I'd take for 15. I don't think Night Stalker or Shadow Focus have any benefit at all, to be honest. So the level 30 talents, we've got Deadly Throw, Nerve Strike, and Combat Readiness. Look, I completely blank out Deadly Throw, honestly. I don't see the use for that, really. I mean, unless you get in a chain queuing of 20 mages. Nerve Strike is definitely, like, it's really situational. With these two, Combat Readiness and Nerve Strike, Nerve Strike, Kidney Shot, and Cheap Shot also reduce damage dealt by the target by 50% and healing done by that target for 10% for 6 seconds after their effect fades. So that means whenever you Cheap Shot or Kidney Shot, after that stun ends, they would have that debuff. So they do 50% reduced damage to you, and they get 10% reduced healing. So that's really good depending on what you're versing. So if we look at combat readiness, sorry. 2-minute cooldown, instant activation, enter a state of heightened offensive awareness. Each successive weapon attack will deal 10% less damage, stacking 5 times. So it lasts 20 seconds unless not attacked with weapons for 10 seconds. So basically what that says is that it's a defensive cooldown that stacks up as you take more autos. It stacks up to 50%, so it's the same damage reduction from Nerve Strike. You both get 50%. But yeah, so this is for melee. That has no use unless the mage is coming up and ordering you with a staff or something stupid. Yeah, no, that has no use against like a mage warlock or something like that. This would be what you're taking. Like, you can even take this against some melees because the healing debuff as well. So if you I don't know, Nerve Strike they're both really good. But obviously you'd never take this against Mage Warlock or Mage Boomy or whatever. You just take this against casters, and then you just swap it out, you know, based on what you're versing. So level 45 tier of talents, you've got Cheat Death, Leeching Poison, and Elusiveness. So basically, Leeching Poison, it's a poison that you put on your weapons that passively grants you some 10% leech from autos, and the shiv effect is 4% of your health. I'd honestly always take this in PvE scenarios. I think it's just really good to have that passive healing all the time. That's awesome, and plus when you do old content, like you're doing old raids or whatever, you're going to be having, like, because you're going to be doing extreme amount of damage, you'll like full heal yourself with one auto attack. It's pretty stupid. Cheat Death, I can see where this can be good. It means you can't get insta killed if you get to that choke point where you're about to die. It reduces you to 7% of your maximum health. It did get nerfed. It used to be 10% or 15%, I believe. But yeah, it did get nerfed, but you take 85% reduced damage after that effect. It does have a 90-second cooldown though. But I'd take this against, what would I take this against? In Arena, I'd take something against a class like, I don't know, Warlock, like a Destro or something, where you can just be, you know, 2 Chaos Bolt killed. Because yeah, it can help you in a few scenarios. But overall, the better option is just Elusiveness, because Feint is, as you see here, it's spammable, and if you have Elusiveness up, it reduces all damage, so that's everything. It doesn't matter what type of damage, all damage is reduced by 30%. And it still has its old thing as well, how its area of effect attacks is still reduced by 50%. So in addition to that, if you're I don't know, if you're sitting on a Death Knight's Death and Decay, and that Death and Decay would be hitting what, like 2k per tick. If you faint, 80% of that damage is gone, so it'd be hitting like what, I don't know, 200, 300, 400, something like that. So it's a really big chunk of damage, and you can, you know, it costs a little bit of energy, but it is spammable, and you can keep that up, and you can predict stuff like a Warrior Stormbolt before he goes ham, and you just, you know, chuck Feint up so you don't die during the Stormbolt. Level 60 row of talents, we got Cloak and Dagger, Ambush Garrote, and Cheap Shot have a 40-yard range and cause you to teleport behind your target. Now this was awesome back in, I believe, 5.1 in Mr. Pandaria, where you could do this while shadow dancing, and that when I say that, that's only for subtlety, obviously. So yeah, that used to be really good, but now that you can only do it in stealth, it's probably good for PvE content. But even then, I'd take burst of speed over that for PvE content. But yeah, there's no use for it on combat because, you know, combat doesn't have any sort of shadow dance. It's just stealth and vanish. Yeah. So burst of speed increases your move speed by 70% for 4 seconds and removes movement and slowing effects usable while stealthed. Yeah. Honestly, I feel as though this is the better talent, for sure. Now this comes down to personal preference for me, because burst of speed I feel is better. Like, you have a permanent 70% move speed essentially, because you'd be running and you can just, you know, cleanse any slow that you run when you hit burst of speed, and you can kind of just kite forever. But me personally, I played Rogue and Kata and Mop, and I feel as though Shadow Step would always be more ideal for me anyway, because using it, you know, like in Arena, you Shadow Step kick and Shadow Step kidney shot and stuff, it just feels more, you know, tight. Like you can get some clutch situations off more so than you could with burst of speed. All 75 talents. You got Prey on the Weak. Enemies disabled with your kidney shot, cheap shot, gouge, sap, or blind take 10% increased damage from all sources. That's pretty good. We got Internal Bleeding. Your kidney shot also causes the target to bleed for 10k damage per combo point over 12 seconds. Dirty Tricks. Gouge and Blind no longer cost energy and no longer break from your poison and bleed damage. Okay, so this one's a bit iffy. Like, I personally think Prey on the Weak is better all round, because you just get a straight up, when you open, you get 10% damage buff. That's all sources too, and it's not, I don't believe... Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's not only you either. Prey on the Weak also affects other targets. So if you're playing with a mage or something and you cheap shot someone, that mage is going to be doing 10% damage from all of their spells as well. So I honestly believe as though that's the better one for Arena. Whereas if you're just fucking around in BGs and whatnot, I'll personally take Internal Bleeding, because I feel as though that has a lot of burst potential when you open. You get a 5-point kidney off and it's a 50k bleed over 12 seconds. And if you're like me, I personally bind my... Oh, sorry. I personally bind my kidney shot with my trinket, because then that's a 1k versatility buff, which essentially means this is going to hit more. That bleed is going to tick for more over the time. Yeah, so that ticks really hard if you, bind the trinket to that. So, we got Dirty Tricks. I haven't seen this expansion anyone use this yet. It has, I can see where it would be good, but I don't know, it feels like you're wasting two things. You got 2 damage buffs here. Like 2 just straight up damage buffs for a utility kind of buff that you can get from a glyph. It just doesn't seem worth it, to be honest. So yeah, no, don't take Dirty Tricks. We got the level 90 tier. So we got Shuriken Toss, ranged attack dealing 9.7k damage to an enemy target and having a chance to apply lethal poisons. If the enemy is farther than 10 yards away, your auto attacks gain a 30-yard range for 10 seconds. Awards 1 combo point. Replaces throw. We got Mark for Death. Mark the target instantly, generating 5 combo points. Cooldown reset if their target dies within 1 minute. Anticipation. When one of your attacks generates a combo point while you already have 5 combo points, you would gain an anticipation charge. Performing an offensive finishing move consumes all anticipation charges and grants you a combo point for each. Okay, so Shuriken Toss, I'm just going to throw that away straight away. I don't see the use for it. I mean, maybe Hunters, but I don't know. Mark for Death just seems like you need to have it unless you're in PvE, because I think Anticipation's better for PvE. Mark for Death, like in a PvP scenario for all rogue specs, I feel as though Mark for Death is just the go-to thing. Like you're gonna die. You have to vanish. You just MFD, recuperate, and run away, spamming Feint. Like there's just so many uses. You can use it completely offensively. You can use it to literally insta kill people, or you can use it defensively as you're getting away, or to CC a target, or it's just, it adds on to Rogue's strongest point, which is utility. So playing utility with Mark for Death is much better. Anticipation, we already went through what it does. Basically, if you build up to 5 combo points and you keep hitting, and you so you build up to 5 combo points and then say you spam Sinister Strike to 5 again. Once you use your first 5 combo points, you'll have another 5 straight away. So it builds up past your 5 combo points that you can hold. Personally, I'd take Mark for Death just because it just seems like the best option for Rogue. Like you have so many options with it. Level 100 tier, we got Venom Rush, which is increases your maximum energy by 15, increases your energy regeneration rate by 5% for every enemy you have poisoned up to 3. Shadow Reflection, summon a shadow of yourself on the target that will watch you and memorize your offensive ability usage for the next 8 seconds. After this time, it will mimic the memorized abilities on its target over the next 8 seconds. Okay, so, and Death from Above, finishing move that consumes combo points on a target to empower your weapons with shadow energy and perform a devastating 2-part attack. You whirl around, dealing up to 13,000 damage to all enemies within 8 yards, then leap into the air and eviscerate your target on the way back down with such force that it hits 50% more damage. Okay, so to be honest, for combat, all 3 of these options are viable. I'd take Venom Rush because now, me personally, I find myself playing combat with Shadow Reflection or Venom Rush more. But for Venom Rush, combat's kind of a spammy spec when you don't have Killing Spree up and everything. You kind of just spam Sinister Strike and keep Revealing Strike up. So having that extra energy is really nice just for your rotation and everything. And obviously, if you poison one person, you'll get a 5% energy regeneration. So with Shadow Reflection, I personally like Shadow Reflection a lot. I showed you my Kidney Shot bind before, my macro, where I'll pop my on-use trinket with Kidney Shot for the bleed. With Shadow Reflection, I also pop Shadow Reflection on that Kidney Shot. And basically, it's happened in multiple scenarios in like a Rogue v Rogue duel or something, where I've got my Kidney Shot off, and they've trinketed, but my Shadow Reflection has like memorized what I did. So they trinket and blind me or something. I'll be sitting in a blind and they're trying to get the re-stealth for the sap and the reopen, but my shadow will stay on them, keep them in combat, and Kidney Shot them while I'm blinded. So there's just a lot of utility based and a lot more damage as well, because by the time that your the internal bleeding comes off with Shadow Reflection, you have about 2 seconds where your Shadow Reflection's Kidney Shot actually ticks at the same time as your one does. So you just do so much dot damage with that ability. It does have a 2-minute cooldown, and it is very easily countered by just like, I don't know, Mage Ice Block or Pally Bubble or Rogue Cloak Vanish. Like, you can get out of it, but I really like it as well. I haven't played too much Death from Above with combat. I mostly play Assassination with Death from Above and Sub with Death from Above. But I feel as though combat doesn't need it, but I also see that combat would do well with it. Because Death from Above is always just going to be a really good ability, because you get immunity to like all things while you're up in the air. Except for that one time I got Death Gripped. Yeah, that sucked. But yeah, pretty much immunity to everything. And but yeah, no, you get like, do like 13k when you first activate the ability around you, and then as you land, you do an eviscerate that hits 50% more, essentially. So the only downside with this is, you know how I said combat was a bit of a spammy spec? It's just that it costs 50 energy, which is a big chunk of your energy. And if you don't have Venom Rush, see if we take Death from Above now, we lose 15 energy straight up. So if we use Death from Above, that's like almost half of our energy gone instantly. And then we have like Sinister Strike that costs 50 energy as well. So you use Sinister Strike once and Death from Above once. That's legitimately, like, you can't use any more abilities for a few seconds after that. So that's why I wouldn't take a Death from Above, but I can also see why it's useful. Okay, so we can take a quick look into glyphs now. Personally, I run like an arena setup. I like, for miners, Blood Speed's always really nice. That's for a BG sort of thing, where you go into, you're running across Blacksmith in AB, and you just sprint across the water. You see everyone else just like awkwardly swimming through it. It's just a good glyph. I like Detection because it's just something you can spam, and you use it for the Survivor's Bag to fill up your coins and whatnot. And I thought that was really cool. For the mages, I like Energy. I feel as though the Energy glyph is super strong because the Rogue kit at the moment is very energy consuming. So having that glyph just to buff your energy a bit is really nice. Cheap Shot glyph, so obviously that increases the duration of Cheap Shot by 5%, and this helps you a lot more with pooling your energy a little bit in between your combos. Like, you have an additional 5 seconds to pull a little bit of energy before your kidney shot, so that's always really good. And I take a glyph of blind, so your blind ability also removes all damage over timer effects from the target that would cause blind to break early. So basically for this, it sounds almost like a debuff, like you're taking your own bleeds and dots off, but if you're hitting a target in arena and you've got your poison / bleed on them or something, and you want to start hitting someone else and you have to keep CCing that person, and you turn around and blind them, and then a second later your bleed breaks the blind, you've just used a 2-minute cooldown on something that broke it like instantly. So it's just, honestly, it's just more important to be safe with it and take this glyph. I never said take Dirty Tricks, but blind no longer costs energy and no longer breaks from your poison and bleed damage. So basically what Dirty Tricks does there with that is, if you bleed someone and then blind them, the bleed will still be ticking while they're blinded, which is kind of cool, but I don't think it's worth sacrificing one of the big damage dealers you have. Another situational glyph, if you're versing like a melee cleave, this Cloak of Shadows glyph is super good. Like, whenever you cloak, you take 40% less physical damage as well. So if you cloak it versus a warrior, you take 40%, and his executes won't hit you for 100k, they'll hit you for fucking 60k instead. So, another thing, I guess Feint glyph is really good, depending on the team you're versing. So if they have a big CC that you don't have a trinket for, so Combat Road, Kidney Shot, and you feint just before it, if you take the glyph, so feint addition, and that lasts 4 seconds, I believe, or 5 seconds at the very beginning. If you get that, it lasts 7 seconds, which will outweigh the kidney shot, and that'll give you a 30% damage reduction throughout that whole kidney shot you just got hit by, which is really good. I mean, the recuperate's kind of good, depending on what you're versing. If for solo content, this is really good, and in duels, perhaps, you'd take recuperate. Yeah, it just depends, and I definitely recommend recovery if your healer's having a hard time healing you if you're getting trained in arena, because that definitely helps a hell of a lot. As for enchants, I just went double bleeding hollows for as much mastery as I can get, just to increase your amount of damage that you do consistently, since that's what combat kind of suffers. Alright, just a quick look into rotation here. So we're going to start from stealth, and when we open, we're going to want a cheap shot, revealing strike, get to 5 combos with sinister, wait for cheap shot to fall off, use the kidney shot, and usually you'd use adrenaline rush there and keep hitting like this, MFD like that, basically you've just got all that damage constantly, and because of our mastery, we're hitting a lot with autos as well. Autos rather. Basically, when you want to use killing spree, obviously you want to try and save up for that fabled red buff before your killing spree, but you know, there's situations where you need to like trinket killing spree or something to try and finish someone off, because killing spree, no matter what, does a lot of damage. It's just that it has a really long cooldown, so you want to make sure that you're gonna get a kill out of killing spree, ironically. But that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'll do a little slash dance. Yeah, thank you for watching. I know it's only been a brief guide, but hopefully if you're playing Combat Rogue, you'll have a little bit more understanding on what you should be doing with your spec. Alright, thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace later.